guys? Welcome into another episode of Hot Topics. It is a Friday, taking you into the weekend here. I'm going to bring in my best friend in the business, the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. Jeff, a lot of doomsday scenarios coming in. Can we be positive here? We're talking college football today and how we're going to see a field and what type of product are we actually going to get in the fall. Are you doomsdayed up, Jeff?
No, I'm not. I think we have to understand, and we realized quickly with this that things change very quickly, Donnie. Sometimes, I know 2 weeks ago, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I feel a lot different than I did 2 or 3 weeks ago. You're starting to see talks of places reopening. Now, again, the problem is a lot of these governors are not willing to do it quickly. But, again, it's only April 17th. I know these kids and athletes need time to prepare, but to say something's not going to happen that's 5 months away, I think it's a little crazy.
You know what's interesting about this too, Jeff, because you're right. It's like, 50 individual governors. You can only be the president. You can give recommendations, but it's up to the states on when they want to return. And some things I want to take a look at, maybe an advantage or possibly like disadvantages here. Let's take a look at California per se, right? USC is there, a couple Pac-12 teams. But then again, you have Pac-12 teams, Jeff, in like the state of Colorado. So what would happen if they say, in the state of California, we're not going to have any fans and we're not going to do that until 2021? The impact that would have on just like a USC home game, we have no fans. But then again, you go play Colorado in Boulder, and they have a packed house, 50 to 60,000 people there. That's going to be a huge difference here. And it'll be interesting to see how teams adapt, because I'll tell you right now, when you watch the president's speech yesterday, he brings up Alabama. He always likes to bring up Alabama, but Alabama fans want to be in that stadium. They don't want to sit out of it. So if they go ahead and get the okay that, hey, look, it's safe to go back in the stadium, they're going to pack it in Alabama. It'll be interesting to see how other states sort of remedy that when one stadium is full and then a couple states away, that one is completely empty.
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, as far as, I do have a lot of positive talk with this subject, but with college football in particular, I think if you asked me what was the most likely sport to not start on time, it would be college football. You have a distinct thing that other sports don't have, like NFL or NBA. You have colleges involved. And, look, it's hard to do what you just said, where you have, one state where, let's look at, Wyoming, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm going to go out and guess that Laramie, Wyoming doesn't have a big problem with coronavirus. It's a lot different than what, a San Diego might have. So, yeah, I think for most of the sports, it's got to be uniform, but how does it even work? The problem, Donnie, you have here is, and this is the major problem with every level of our life, whether it's sports, whether it's work or whatever, the precedent has already been set. You can't go back on any of the stuff you've done. So down the road 2 months from now, if one person gets this, we're going to be in this haywire kind of feel where, oh my God, everybody's going to get it. We've got to be able to get to a point where we can just pull someone out and put someone in. You know what I'm saying? If you're sick, stay home. There's a precedent here that we've set where we just have to kind of be slow with this, unfortunately. If it was my decision, Donnie, we would be able to do certain things in this state. Fortunately, I don't run this state. I just know that if you're in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, it seems like it's been a long time till they do anything. They don't seem to have any interest in getting these states reopened very quickly. I mean, Donnie, again, explain to me why you cannot build homes in Pennsylvania. How does that affect anybody?
Yeah, it's almost like, people aren't donating enough from that sector to get that overturned. Exactly. Where like you could still buy alcohol or liquor or something like that. If we look at and also the misinformation that's coming out now, right? Because you take a look and they say fans in the stands is a big issue. You have national people like Darren Ravel come out with statistics like they'll lose 75% of their income if nobody's in the stands, and everybody rebukes that. Goes, no, that's not correct. We get it from TV. And then you see the other ones, which is, look, I come from a perspective, Jeff, where I played for more people as a fan base in high school than I did playing Division III football in college. And I always see this come up. Well, if the students can't return to campus, we can't have football, which isn't necessarily the case, because if you ask an Ohio State football player, Jeff, heading into his senior year and wants to win the Big Ten, and they say, look, we can either cancel the football season altogether, or you can play in front of an empty crowd at the Horseshoe, but it'll still be broadcast to millions of people nationwide. Do you know what those kids on that team are going to choose, Jeff? They're going to play. They're not going to say, oh, well, you know what? No big deal. I'll sit out my senior year and hopefully it's better next year. That's not going to happen in these instances.
Yeah, I hear you. The problem is the kids don't decide. That's the thing. Most kids will play with a broken leg if they could. I mean, that most kids at that age feel invincible and they'll always play. The problem is, I think it's pretty much set in stone at this point. If students aren't back, which again, I agree with you. I don't know why students affect whether, but they are students at the end of the day, and you have to follow a wholesale plan, I think, with all of them. I hear you. Look, I wanted to, and I wish Rich would come back tomorrow. But the problem is, again, the precedent is set that we can't do anything until these states decide on what they're going to do. And Donnie, you're starting to see a lot more partisan politics being played. You look at the Democratic states in this country. Very slow to react to do anything. They want to do everything on their own. Republican states, a lot different. Places like, all these different Republican states, they seem to be siding with, hey, let's get started and let's get going. The truth of the matter is, Donnie, we cannot continue to do what we're doing here. People need to get back to work. Unemployment, I mean, all this stuff, it's got to start coming down. We can't keep adding to what it is. Donnie, more people are going to die from the unemployment and poverty that we have here and the depression. People need good stuff to come back to. We need to start seeing things happen. And I know no one wants to hear that just because everyone thinks we're in this doomsday situation, but it's starting to get better. Things are starting to really improve. We've got to start getting back to it. And sports are the start. The problem is college is totally different.
You brought up a great point here, which I'm going to parlay this into, because when you take a look at, playing those partisan politics where if you're a Democratic governor, it's in our best interest to delay everything and let's wait till after November in the election. And if you look on the opposite side, the Republicans are sort of saying the opposite. And you can equate it to, like, remember in Jaws, Jeff, where the mayor's coming down, nobody's going in the water. He goes up to the old guy, look, man, help me out. Get in the water so everybody goes in the water with you. It's going to take that one state or two states to get in the water to bring everybody back. But Does the shark come back to bite at that point? But you're right about that.
That's the thing. I don't think anyone wants to be the first state to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared. No one's to do it. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if you live in a state with a Democratic governor, you might as well say summer ain't going to happen because it doesn't matter what happens. These fucking governors, man, are going to do anything they can to retake the state house and keep doing what they're doing. It's always like that, Donnie. An election year, it is different. Life is different. Look, if you're asking me, do I think we see college football start at the end of August? I think it's early to say whether or not we do, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Again, a lot can change, but it seems like they're operating at a really slow level.
Yeah, and if you're reading the tea leaves between it, and it's just, Jeff, we're on the same mindset. I don't think, unless you get an actual shot that takes away the virus altogether, people are always going to still reinfect each other and get this. It's just a matter of actually, when they talked about flattening the curve, keeping the curve flat so you don't get, an overwhelming pandemic back in the situation. Because if we're looking at it like this, Jeff, and I know everybody's an optimist. We want to get football. There's plans to get football back. Everybody August 1st going to go back to campus, practice as a team, stay in quarantine, and then we're going to try to play starting in September. What happens, Jeff, if one kid, and we'll use your scenario, in Wyoming gets affected? Does that mean the Miami Hurricanes and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have to shut down their football programs because one guy got infected up there? Yeah.
No, it shouldn't. Donnie, let me ask you, my dad and I have conversations about this all the time. Let's say tomorrow every governor in the country came out and said, we have 0 cases, none. And we give it 10 days and we still have 0 cases. After that 10 days, Donnie, let's say one stadium says, we're going to take fans. I love the people that I'm not going to go to the game. How many people do you think go to the game, Donnie, in that situation?
If we're just taking a look at like Philadelphia, it's going to be full. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man, with this. People aren't going to go to – listen, people in this country, I'll tell you one thing, are nuts. They're crazy.
Correct.
They love to live life. They love to do what they want to. Look at this situation tonight. You have people dying in this country, and kids are on a beach in Florida. They're oblivious. Most people have no idea what's actually going on.
And they told you they were oblivious. That literally the interview was like, "Hey man, coronavirus going, dude. We playing this. We're gonna have fun. If we get it, we get it."
They literally live in their own world,
Yes,
Donnie.
right.
And that's how most of this country is, and that's why you're starting to see some of these states say, "Look, we can't buy fucking grass seed. What the fuck? What are you talking about?" Some of these tyrant governors are getting a little ridiculous with their behavior. I'm a liberal guy. I've said that before, but
You are.
some of this stuff, some of this stuff is getting a little ridiculous. Donnie, my family's in the building business. They build homes.
Yep. And real estate business. Yeah.
My dad has houses that are 2 weeks from being finished. He can't finish them because why? Yet Donnie, yet I can go into a store where there are hundreds of people
and bump into people.
Right. How?
You can go to a store. You can go right now to McDonald's where people will make if there's 15 people working in there, they can make your food. You can pay them, go to the next register, get your food where basically that food has been around 15 people and then go home and feed it to your family. But yes, I see your point.
I don't drink, but in your state, Donnie, in New Jersey, you can go and buy
right now.
How is that a scientific,
necessity?
Yeah.
Essential business.
Yet people need homes to move into that they've already sold their previous ones, and we can't finish them in this state. I'm telling you, Penn State football, they might start getting ready for 2022.
Or even it's an interesting point because it brings back our concept back to sports where you're saying if the one guy gets affected in Minnesota, then Miami can't play football. They're building stadiums. They're building $1 billion stadiums right now in LA and Las Vegas that are deemed essential. But then in other sports that aren't even hot spots in other states, it's like one blanket that goes down. You can't overturn it. Why? Because there's a lot of money tied up in that person saying, you got to keep me open so they do it. You're seeing politics on display day to day much more than you ever have, man.
Yeah, you really are. It's a weird time. I just hope we can get something back. And Donnie, look, it's only going to be about one or two things. If we start getting some golf back or some NASCAR or something where it looks normal again. I think the best prospect is going to be baseball. That seems like the one thing that has legs. But it's a conversation we have every day. It's a wild time.
No, we're heading into the weekend here on Hot Topics again, trying to get you through. I know at least we're looking forward to a little bit of a Jordan Bulls doc on Sunday night. We'll have some fun. But next week, Jeff, I got to tell you, every one of our Hot Topics, you're going to be locked and loaded for you guys out there on the NFL draft. Tell the people out there, Jeff, what's going on. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I want to ask you real quick on the last thing of college football.
Yeah.
At 100%, the season happens last week of August. 0 means you have no reason to think it does. What's your probability the season starts on time?
I honestly say it doesn't because I think there's going to be too many and I bring this back and we have a little bit extra time here anyway. I bring this back to where we watched ESPN, Jeff, the morning of the day after that Rudy Gobert got sick. And instead of it was like trying to find details out on what's happening, they went to shutdown mode, and it's what they do in every instance in every business, Jeff. They'll go and pick it in front of your business so you have to close. Then they'll move to the next business until you have to close. I don't think you're going to get the public support there on the TV that I'm watching isn't there. They're not saying we have to move forward. Let's go ahead and do it. If it doesn't work, we'll figure out a second plan. Everything I'm getting, Jeff, is what happens if one kid gets affected? I don't think it's going to start. I honestly don't.
I think a lot of the people that are making those points are people that are in good situations that don't have to go to work. They're already rich. They already make a ton of. It's easy for Steven Mnuchin to stand up in front of everyone and say, "Look, we'll get the money eventually to you guys." He's worth $400 million.
Yeah. Tap into your savings, people. Just use that.
Yeah. You guys can all live on $1,200 for 10 weeks. It's okay.
And the worst thing about
it, Steve?
The worst thing about it is we wouldn't be in this particular, and I understand the reason for it, but it's not like saying, Jeff, you build a business plan yourself and it failed because your business sucked. The business stinks because the government said you can't open your door. That's the crazy part about this.
Yeah, we're really setting ourselves up for a real partisan concern here because you got Republicans that want to go back to regular work and do regular things, and you got Democrats that are they're scared about everything and they don't want they're not going to send the kids to school, and everybody's trying to kill our kids and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's messy, man. We just hope that the right leaders are in control, and some of the states have the correct leaders and some don't.
No, we'll figure it out, but keep it locked and loaded right here at pubsportsradio.com for the hot topics that come out each and every day, Monday through Friday. Next week, Jeff, is the draft. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll have some fun talking about that. For the weekend, he's Jeff Nadeau. I'm Donnie Seymour. Check back on Monday when we kick off draft week right here on pubsportsradio.com.